She counted her coins twice because hunger teaches you not to trust math. Anna Whitaker's sacrifice isn't a single moment, it is a discipline she has practiced so long it has become instinct. From the opening scene in the farmhouse diner, we see the mechanics of it. She counts her coins, does the arithmetic, and already knows the answer before she finishes the sum. 1 plate, not 2. She orders for Eli, tells the waitress she has already eaten, and sits with her, hands folded in her lap while her son eats a meal that could easily have fed them both. This isn't a one-time act of maternal love. It is a survival system she built after her husband, Samuel, died. A private rule she made the day Samuel died that she would never let her son see her break down or go without. What makes this sacrifice so powerful, narratively, is its invisibility. Anna does not want credit for it. She frames rationing food as a game, so Eli never suspects he is being protected. She smooths his hair, tells him, "Eat, sweetheart, I'm not hungry." The exact same line repeated at the diner and later at Daniel's ranch. During the blizzard, the repetition is deliberate. It shows this isn't circumstance, it is character. Even when she has a home, a job, and relative safety at the Mercer ranch, the old habits resurface the moment supplies run low. She serves Eli generous portions and shrinks her own share each week, stirring a thin stew longer than necessary just to have an excuse to stay near the stove, instead of sitting at the table where someone might notice her empty plate. The physical toll is tracked carefully throughout the story, her color fading, her face going pale, careful gray. Details Daniel notices because he has seen this exact deterioration before in his own mother. This detail matters because it turns Anna's sacrifice from a symbolic gesture into something with real stakes. She is quite literally starving herself to protect her son, right up to the edge of her own health failing. What gives this key point its emotional weight is the why behind it, not simple poverty, but fear after losing the homestead, after watching a bank take everything Samuel built, after walking 220 frozen miles with nothing but a handcart. Anna's deepest belief is that safety is never guaranteed and love has to be proven through cost. She does not trust that anyone, even Daniel, even fate, will make sure Eli is fed unless she personally ensures it, even at her own expense. Her sacrifice isn't just kindness. It is the language she uses to say you are safe to a child who has already lost his father and his home once. This is also why the story's final image, Anna serving herself first, her plate is full, as her son's carries such weight. It isn't just about food, it is the moment she finally allows herself to believe that her own survival isn't in competition with her son's, and that being cared for doesn't make her weak or careless. The empty plate, repeated 3 times across the story, becomes the story's emotional thermometer, and its slow filling is the real arc. He had seen that stillness before at his own mother's kitchen table, years before he understood what it meant. Daniel Mercer's role in this story isn't the typical rescuer archetype. He never once offers charity outright, because he understands something crucial. A woman like Anna, hardened by loss and pride, will refuse anything that looks like pity. Instead, his entire method of helping her is built on recognition and misdirection, and it is rooted in his own childhood. Watching Anna at the diner, her folded hands, her untouched plate, the particular intensity with which she watches her son eat, Daniel does not need an explanation. He had watched his own mother hold that exact posture more winters than he cared to remember. Back when a bad cattle season left his family thin, he understood, once he was old enough to look back, that her claims of him not hungry had never once been true. This shared history is what transforms Daniel's job offer from a business transaction into something quietly protective. When he approaches Anna in the diner, he is careful to frame the ranch cook position as practical necessity, not rescue. "I know you can stretch a coin further than most folks I've met." That is exactly the kind of sense a working kitchen needs. No pity in it, just observation, because he already knows pity is the one thing she will refuse. The most memorable expression of his care comes during the blizzard, when supplies run thin and Anna's old rationing habits return. Rather than confronting her sacrifice directly, Daniel engineers small deniable interventions, claiming he cooked too much stew, insisting the hired hands prefer bigger portions, so she shouldn't shortchange herself quietly carving a larger cut of salt pork before she notices when Anna catches him. "You're a terrible liar about leftover stew," he does not deny it. He simply says, "Eat it anyway." This is where the story shifts from quiet gestures to spoken honesty. Daniel tells her plainly, "You spent a year making sure your son never went without, on a road that should have killed you both. Twice over it, like the chance to make sure that you don't have to keep doing that alone anymore." It is not a romantic declaration in the traditional sense. It is an acknowledgement of labor, of exhaustion, of a burden he wants to help carry. Daniel's protectiveness peaks when the debt collector Pwitt arrives with armed men to seize his cattle over Samuel's old loan. Rather than back down, Daniel stands on his porch with a Winchester and legal knowledge from a Cheyenne lawyer, refusing to let Anna's past debt cost her present safety. His willingness to risk his own herd and reputation right after losing 40 head to the blizzard himself shows that his care for Anna isn't performative or convenient. It is a genuine extension of the same lesson he learned watching his mother suffer in silence. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to let someone sacrifice alone. You watch out for her, Eli. Promise me a dying man's last request and a boy who never once broke it. The emotional engine of this story's climax isn't Anna or Daniel, it is Eli, the quiet, watchful child caught between two adults who are both trying to protect each other. Through a mission before Samuel dies, he extracts a promise from his son with his final words: "She won't ask for help even when she needs it most. You watch out for her." It is a heavy thing to ask of an 8-year-old, but Eli takes it seriously in the only way a child can, not through action but through vigilance. He watches, he notices, and crucially, he never tells his mother what he has seen, protecting her dignity even as he tracks every sacrifice she makes on his behalf. This promise becomes the story's quiet through line. Eli sees through his mother's "I'm not hungry" the very first time she says it in the diner, offering her a forkful of his own food anyway, a small act of solidarity that goes unacknowledged, but not unnoticed by either of them. Later in a conversation with Daniel, while mending harness during the storm, Eli finally breaks his silence. For the first time, she still doesn't eat enough. She thinks, "I don't notice, I promised Pa I'd watch out for her. I've been watching this whole time." This is the moment the story's central tension becomes explicit, a child carrying the emotional labor of noticing what the adults around him are too proud or too careful to say aloud. Eli's promise reaches its full weight in the story's climax when Anna decides to leave the ranch quietly rather than let Samuel's debt endanger Daniel's cattle. She begins packing in the dark, using the same careful economy of motion from their journey to Casper, a visual callback that signals she is regressing into old survival patterns. But this time Eli does not simply watch and stay silent. He runs to the barn breathless and tells Daniel the truth. "Mama's packing," she thinks. "I don't know, we're leaving again." This is the turning point where Ella's promise transforms from passive observation into active intervention. The moment an 8-year-old boy does what neither adult was willing to do for themselves, breaking the cycle of silent sacrifice by simply telling the truth out loud. Daniel's response: "You kept that promise to your father better than most grown men manage in a lifetime," reframes Eli not as a passive bystander to his mother's hardship, but as the emotional hero of the story. It is his honesty that allows Daniel to act before Anna disappears again, and by extension, his honesty that allows Anna to finally stop running. The story suggests that sometimes it takes a child's unfiltered clarity, free of pride, fear, or the adult instinct to protect through concealment, to break a pattern that two grieving adults couldn't break on their own. Ella's promise, kept in silence for a year and then finally spoken aloud, is what ultimately gives Anna permission to stop sacrificing and start living